yet.
How has everybody been?
Good.
Staying warm? More or less? All right, I think we can go ahead and get started. I will start with the announcement. Welcome to the January 26th meeting of the Human Rights and Relations Commission. This meeting is being held electronically to comply with the Governor's Stay Safe Minnesota order and to ensure the safety of all residents and staff. All members of the HRRC and staff are participating from their homes or offices. For the members of the commission, please remember to mute your microphone when you are not speaking and raise your hand if you would like to speak. We ask that you do not use the chat function in WebEx as we meet unless you are having technology problems. We will have roll call votes for each motion this evening as well as for adjournment. I will ask Reese Kareem to call roll after each motion. I will repeat the motion for the record before we vote, and will also repeat who made the motion and seconded. We have a full agenda again tonight, so please remember those watching, listening in, and your fellow commissioners, and let's try to stay on topic. Before we begin, there are a few things that I'd like to cover for those listening in or watching online. The public had two ways to view the meeting tonight. They can watch the live stream on the city's YouTube channel or listen via phone using the WebEx call-in number. There is no community comment during the meeting tonight. The city is committed to hearing and receiving your input on matters. The public can send in comments to the City Council or HRRC through the Council correspondence web form on our website. The recording of the meeting will also be available to watch on the city's website tomorrow. Go to Watch a Meeting, that link under the I Want To tab on the homepage. Thanks in advance for your patience as we work to conduct this meeting online using different software types and people all participating from their own homes. We hope there will not be any issues, but be assured that we will do our best to continue the meeting as best we can if there are any glitches. Thank you to everyone tuning in tonight for your interest in the HRRC and our work in the city. Reese, could you go ahead and call roll?
Chair Behringer?
Here.
Commissioner Ishmael? She's here. Commissioner Ross?
Here.
Commissioner Felton?
Here.
Commissioner Epstein?
Here.
Commissioner Nelson?
Here.
Commissioner Edwards?
Here.
Commissioner Stringer Moore? Student Commissioner Lichtenberger?
Here.
Student Commissioner Mirza? And Student
You're
Commissioner
muted.
Moore. That concludes roll call.
All right. Okay, so next on our agenda is to approve the meeting agenda. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
And
Second.
do I have a motion to second?
Second.
All right, so there is a motion by Commissioner Nelson and a second by Commissioner Ross to approve tonight's meeting agenda. See, can you call the roll?
Chair Behringer?
Aye.
Commissioner Ishmael? Commissioner Ross?
Aye.
Commissioner Felton?
Aye.
Commissioner Epstein?
Aye.
Commissioner Nelson?
Aye.
Commissioner Edwards?
Aye.
Student Commissioner Lichtenberger?
Aye.
Student Commissioner Mirza?
Aye.
Edina's aye.
And
To
the
be-
motion passes. Okay, so next on our agenda is to approve the meeting minutes from just this, it was a long time ago, but December 1st meeting. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes? Or I guess first, is there any discussion about the minutes? Okay, do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, so I have a motion to approve the meeting minutes by Commissioner Nelson and a second by Commissioner Epstein.
Either works.
I don't know why I'm getting it wrong because I know what it is.
I'll respond either.
I've known
Sure.
plenty of people with that name.
Chair Behringer,
Aye.
Commissioner Ismail, Commissioner Ross,
Aye.
Commissioner Felton,
Aye.
Commissioner Epstein,
Aye.
Commissioner Nelson,
Aye.
Commissioner Edwards,
Aye.
Student Commissioner Lichtenberger, Student Commissioner Mirza.
Aye. Sorry, just a question. Are we supposed to be voting on these? I thought we're not voting numbers.
Yeah, I was going to raise that point also. The student committee.
Sorry, it's been a while.
It has been.
My apologies.
Aye.
Motion carries.
All right, so the motion passes. Next on our agenda tonight is the special recognitions and presentations. Heidi is going to talk more about this, but the city staff are looking into developing a calendar for the communications to recognize various events. So Heidi, do you want to go and explain that further?
Yeah, Hannah Madcore, who is a public ally and the social media specialist for the city of Edina, is planning to join us, and she is currently having some issues right now just logging in, and so that's why she's not here yet. So Reese, would you be able to send her a link to see if she's able to join? So I apologize for that.
I'm going to do it right now, but I can't do it with the presentation up.
That's fine. And she's indicated that it's giving her the starting screen, but nothing is happening. So I don't know if it's technology issues that are occurring right now for her. So while Reese is doing that, I appreciate just you all being here so that you can hear what the city staff members are doing. And so as Chair Behringer said, that this is a presentation just to give you an update and also to get feedback on observances that the city wants to have as a list or kind of a guidepost. And so some of the things that we'll be talking about in our in the presentation today are the differences between a holiday observance, like a federal holiday observance, as well as what is a religious observance that our city has. And then kind of the third list that we want to be able to create is other observances or days of significance that the city along with communications, wants to be able to have more of a welcoming communications with folks that live, work, or visit the city. So this is, not only a presentation, but it allows you to provide feedback based on your experience so that we can have more of a compiled list to do that. Whenever you are ready, Reese, if you want to go ahead and just start, and then we will see if Hannah is able to join us.
She is in the audience,
Okay.
but it's not allowing me to make her an attendee because she's not a commissioner. I can fix it. 1 second, though.
Okay. as we're multitasking, I'm talking to Hannah as well to let her know what is happening. So that is why I am typing right now.
Actually, that's incorrect. Ryan's letting me know that because the meeting's already started and she's not a panelist, it's not going to work out for her. She's here, she's just an attendee, and it won't allow me to.
Okay. Okay. So I apologize that Hannah is not able to have her audio as well as her video to be part of the presentation. But if she has any feedback or wants to say anything, I guess we're going to have to go through me as a intermediary for that. So whenever you're ready, Reese, if you want to go ahead and put up the slide deck. Okay. So one of the reasons why city staff members want to garner feedback, whether it is from community members or other staff members, is to really align with our commitment for the city to support and foster inclusivity. And so just the staff members are dedicated to acknowledging and seeking out and celebrating diversity in the Edina community. And so we want to be able to adapt as well as always having a process of learning. And so this is part of the learning for staff members is really what are some of the observances or days of significance that is important to the community. Next slide. And so what are we talking about today? It's really how does the city, along with communications and the Race and Equity Division, create more welcoming communications. And so this process today is really being intentional about recognizing days that are significant to folks, that are important to our residents, business people, and visitors. And so what we're trying to create is really an approved list. And so a list that those days can be proactively acknowledged. Next slide, please. And so as I had said earlier, there are 3 different types of observances. And so there's a city holiday where city offices are closed and there are no public meetings that are held, and it's defined by Minnesota state statute. And so, for example, of a city holiday is Martin Luther King's birthday, which is the third Monday of every January. The next column that we have is a religious observance. And so this religious observance was an approved policy by city council. So the city offices are still open for business. However, there is no public meetings held. And again, it is approved by city council. And so an example of a religious observance is Eid al-Fitr. And so you'll notice that there are some within the religious observances. This was a approved policy in 2012 by city council. And so we want to honor those city holidays as well as religious observances, but also think about additional days that are significant to community members.
How many are there? Do you know, Heidi, how many there are?
Yep. Well, the next slide will actually,
Okay.
the next few
Never
slides
mind.
will go through that.
I'll wait.
Thank you. And so the days of significance that we want to add with communications as well as the Race and Equity Division is that it won't make any changes as far as when the city offices are open. There still will be public meetings held on those particular days. However, with the days of significance list, we want to be able to get staff feedback as well as community feedback on what is important to them. So for example, an additional day of significance would be Black History Month. I know that it is a month-long celebration. So really thinking about how do we intentionally acknowledge that so that people, community members are able to celebrate in that. Next slide, please. So for this next slide, you'll notice that these are all the days that we have that the offices are closed. So from January 1st, which is New Year's Day, until December. So these days are kind of the set days when there is no business that is occurring at City Hall and no public meetings that are occurring. The day after Thanksgiving is is a holiday that is not necessarily governed by state statute, but the city holiday, that is a city holiday. So we don't have any public meetings or business occurring. The next slide. So the next slide is then the religious observances. Again, that is where there is no city meetings on these days, but the city hall offices are open for business. And so you'll notice these are the days in 2021. And so some of these dates are multiple dates. And so with the policy that was approved by city council, there was conversations with community members, Jewish community members from the Muslim faith, as well as Christian, community members, to be able to say when are there days that there needs to be observances or celebration or ceremonies that people cannot actively participate in public holidays. And so you'll notice that it does have a total of 8 observances in there. And then underneath or right next to them is kind of looking at the days or the evenings that these observances are held in place. Does anybody have any questions with the religious observances that you're looking at? Again, this is when we have no city meetings. However, the city hall offices are open for business.
So has this been approved, or is this still going to council?
Nope, the religious observances have already been approved by council, and that was approved in 2012. What we're looking at, and Reese, if you would be willing to go to the next slide, is taking a look at what other additional observances we should consider. And so this slide deck this particular slide that you're looking at right now is that these are considerations, right? So thinking about the community and the demographics that we have in Edina, we want to be more inclusive. And so on the left-hand side, you'll notice that some of these are connected to racial and cultural observances. And then on the right-hand side are more connected to religious. Some of these are, for instance, Holly had started out as religious, and so some of those festivals or celebrations have now connected to just more of a celebration, but that was rooted in a religious background. And so these are the other observances that we want to see. Are there any that should be added to the list? Are there things that we should consider? We want to go ahead and get feedback. And so this is, I'm getting a message from Hannah, and Hannah would like to say that many of these proposed observances that you'll notice on this slide are to recognize traditionally marginalized groups, and many of these groups are active members in the Edina community. And so it would be important to be able to help the city welcome and create feelings of inclusion towards all residents. So this is, not necessarily a list that is all encompassing, but these are the ones that we wanted to be able to give consideration and get your feedback. And so Reese, would you be willing to go to the next slide? And so as we look for acknowledgement or observances, we also want to be intentional in the way that we are acknowledging the observances or the additional days of significance. And so some of those are to have a listing on the city calendars, whether they are through the website or through print, pending the communication staff capacity. We also have message board on the outdoor message board at City Hall. And I'll be showing you examples of these as well. Edina TV video bulletin message board, an Edina post banner and image, and social media posts. And so these are the 5 items that communications has said we will commit to be able to do this every each of those following dates that we have. right? So really stemming from what does acknowledgement look like? And with acknowledgement, it also depends on the response or the relevancy to where our current society is at. For example, with Black History Month in a week or so, there is going to be intentionality on how that is messaged. And so thinking about that with, for example, Hannah is planning to, or has met with the Black Student Union at the high school and asking them their feedback on what is the significance or what does Black History Month to them mean after 2021, the series of events that had occurred. And so, next slide, please. And so, as I said, there is examples of this. So this is on the left-hand side, the listing of on the city's website. So this is what it may look like, being able to just have, for example, the start of Black History Month or Chinese New Year that is occurring. So that is going to be listed on the city calendar. This is the outdoor messaging board that you'll notice. So it would say Happy Chinese New Year or Lunar New Year. And then also the Edina TV for folks that do watch Edina TV. This is going to be an example that you would see as far as just an indicator that it is a day of significance. Next slide. And then Edinet, which is the intra website for staff members, we would also have it where that would be noticeable on the staff website as well. So kind of looking at it from not only is the acknowledgement a front-facing or community-facing, but also having it where it is an internal acknowledgement as well. And then lastly, you'll have a social media post. And so those are the social media post examples that Hannah has posted on the city Instagram page, just to be able to provide, allowing people to know that this is a particular day and that this is the meeting, and just being able to also reiterate if the city offices are closed. Next slide. And so what we're looking at, or what we're wanting to get, is are there any holidays or observances that should be added to that list? Are there any holidays or observances we should not acknowledge at this time? And then also, do you have any other ideas for the way that the city can go ahead and consistently acknowledge these observances? And so again, going back to the additional observances list, it doesn't change if the city offices are closed, or if there is business that's being done, or the time for a public meeting. It is just another, it's a list that we can provide so that we can say we are going to be intentional in providing a welcoming space for folks that may celebrate this, or also providing an education to let people know that these are an additional observances that we may not normally see. And so I just want to open it up to folks if they wanted to provide any feedback to any of these questions.
Heidi, I'm wondering, has there been or will there be an opportunity for community feedback on what are the appropriate observances?
This is one of them, right? This is a way for us to get feedback.
No, I do appreciate that.
Yeah.
I understand that. Yeah.
I think there has also been conversation to also get feedback from another group, the community feedback group that aligns with the communications. So are you thinking of something larger scale, like a survey, or what are you thinking about?
Well, I'm not sure what I was thinking. I often talk without thinking very much. I just wondered if there had been some outreach in some way. I assume once you start posting things, you're going to get some feedback from somebody, probably.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
And of course, I would just observe that we've been as a commission, we've been pushing Indigenous Peoples Day for umpteen years. So I'm glad to see that on the list.
Yes, Student Commissioner Mirza.
I just had a question. Is there like a set of criteria that establishes where a holiday falls between the three categories?
If you, so on the, it's really dependent on where it lies within Minnesota state statute or if it is considered a religious observance. So along those lines, it falls with policies that are in place as well as kind of the federal observance. And so that last piece that we're looking for is kind of, it's not necessarily, it will not impact that. However, we want to be able to see, are there things in the community that people want to be able to acknowledge? Yes, Student Commissioner Lichtenberger.
I think Commissioner Nelson mentioned this, but I think a survey might be a cool idea just to see which holidays people would really like to see and be represented. So I think a survey might be nice.
Okay.
Cindy, go ahead.
I'm delighted to see Pride Month. Thank you, Heidi. That's a perfect fit. And I'm really pleased to see the women's events, the what I would consider the more feminist stuff. I don't know that we do a whole lot with that. Is there a concept of pulling a rainbow flag up at City Hall for Pride Month?
We haven't necessarily had that conversation of what are the other things that we are wanting to do to be able to acknowledge, in just having kind of that, I don't want to say bare minimum, but really what are the things that the city and staff members can go ahead and commit to. And with those 5 things, definitely.
I'm just glad to see it on the list.
Yeah, and I think one of the things really with the days observance list, it's also a way to frame the values that are connected to or the tradition or the significance. And so that's why it's important to be able to know that there are 5 commitments, right? 5 pieces of commitment that the commission, or excuse me, the communications department wants to really acknowledge.
Yeah, we may want to just do it one day on Stonewall. I mean, there's dates in June that might be, I mean, you don't have to run a flag all month, but it would be kind of neat to maybe highlight some of the events. So good stuff.
And then I am also, like I said, I'm getting messaging from Hannah, and Hannah wanted me to also tell you that she appreciates your advocacy towards acknowledgement of Indigenous Peoples Day. And that if you have any feedback or thoughts, certainly go ahead and email her or myself, and I can pass that along to her as well, since her and I have been working on this collectively. And Hannah has been, really looking at the research and compiling the list, as well as being intentional in the posting. So this is a very collaborative list that we want to be able to compile and have that kind of be the guiding of observances that we have.
Although I'm not going to be on the commission after next month, but it does strike me that the commission may have an ongoing role here and just at least being kept advised as to what the city is planning on doing on these various observance days and months, so that continuing input, the commission can continue to give input on what the appropriate recognitions are.
Absolutely, and I think also this could also create more of a partnership of if there are other folks that are within the community that have a strong connection to any of these other the observances that they want to provide feedback on what a posting could look like, as you said, Commissioner Nelson, or if there are things that may not necessarily more advocacy or educational things that people want to see. It's definitely more of a community collaborative to do that. It's not just the staff members, but it's also everyone that lives in Edina or works or that is here or visits.
Justin.
Yeah, just to the point that Heidi just made, I think the survey would really be important because in addition to asking if there were other days they felt needed to be observed in the city, it'd be an opportunity for the city to capture interest in organizing an event, or doing a social post, or maybe doing a video for the REAP website, or Better Together Edina, on what this day observance means to the person that designates or resonates with it.
And then are there other things that you can think of as community members that the city can do that can provide consistent acknowledgement? So in addition to the 5 things that were posted with social media, city calendars, the bulletin on Edina TV, or the messaging board, are there things that you can think of as community members that you would like to see that would be consistent?
I know the city sends out messages on Nextdoor. Could they, send a message on the day observance on Nextdoor saying, the city of Edina is observing whatever the day is today, and a little blurb about what the day is or about what the month is?
Yeah, I can definitely go ahead and put that as one of the feedback.
Heidi, does the city ever get feedback from people who are, I don't want to use the word offended, but the pushback with church and state, or pushback with decorations at City Hall, or why does the city even have a role in all of this? And if so, what are the answers to all those things?
I think from my experience, I haven't necessarily seen that, but I do think that it is connected to the values that we have, right, of being inclusive, being diverse, and how are we equitable in the practices. And so that's a commitment that City Council has, and that's a commitment that staff members have. And so I know that sometimes people, it may just be simply providing an explanation of why we're doing this,
Right.
the acknowledgement.
I just want to arm myself with that information, to have it, people ask, how do we explain our role with that? And if you have agnostic people or atheist individuals, are they represented, and how are they represented? So that's just something we all want to make sure that we have the right answers to.
Yeah, and I think, as Hannah is pointing out right now, I think that the larger goal of this observance list is to really widen the net of recognitions that are in the city, as opposed to promoting anything, right? So being able to know that there are a wide variety of observances or days of significance, and we want to be able to encompass that really it speaks to the community members that are there.
Sure.
And I do think there is a difference between promoting, observing people's religious beliefs versus promoting the more civic aspects, such as Black History Month or Indigenous Peoples Days. And I think one thing, although I wouldn't suggest,
but it's kind of blurred here, Jim, don't you think?
What's that? I'm sorry?
Do you think it gets a little blurred here?
Well, I suppose it could, but my point is, in terms of at least not the non-religious observances that we're talking about, such as Black History and Indigenous Peoples Day and Pride Month. I think it wouldn't be as visible as social media, but certainly some sort of an acknowledgement by way of public recognition at city council meetings would be perfectly appropriate. Also, as we indicate that our elected representatives are behind this initiative.
Good.
Did you know? Isn't there a UN Human Rights Day that we don't observe?
I believe there is a Human Rights Day. I'm not really sure what day it is.
I thought we were trying to coordinate some of our efforts, and I can't find it in my calendar.
It's sometime in December, because that's when.
Yeah, don't you remember that?
Yep.
That's kind of a glaring omission.
Where's Ellen Kennedy when we need her? Huh?
I know. And I was going to ask about Holocaust. Isn't there a Holocaust Remembrance Day that just happened in January?
Mm-hmm. Yep. So I think those are the things that we look at. I know with the Tom Oy Award, it always aligns with
thought
Human
it did.
Rights Day,
Yeah.
and so it's generally around. I believe Hannah said it is the 10th.
The 10th.
Yeah, of December.
Besides having a Human Rights Day in December, I believe the month of December is Universal Human Rights Month, according to the United Nations.
Even better.
So it's the entire month.
I don't want to miss some of that stuff.
Yeah, I will with those dates that what were mentioned, I will go ahead and add that to you know, a potential list of
Proposal. Yeah.
and so if there are things that pop in your head as far as like ways to be consistent for acknowledgement or additional days, please go ahead and email that to me, as we are trying to gather more information and see what a comprehensive list looks like. What are the kind of the next steps? So even you know, taking into account your survey suggestions, what does that look like, and going forward.
Hey Heidi, this is Mark.
Yes.
Commissioner, Madam Chair, could I speak for a minute?
Oh, go ahead.
Okay. I'm wondering if we could be consistent and just welcome or say a message, consistent message that says, for example, on Pride Day, the city of Edina celebrates Pride. We welcome all of our members, all of our residents that are either, you know, gay, bi, transgender, queer, whatever, or on Black History Day that we welcome all of our African Americans to this community. So basically on St. Patrick's Day, we welcome all Irish Americans to this community. We're happy to have you here. Basically the same message for even on the Jewish New Year, or it's just a consistent, or even for Hindu or people of Indian descent. You know, just try to acknowledge everyone that's part of this community in some type of message that's similar, that's consistent. That's just my thought. Stays away from religious observance, but it's just acknowledging people for people.
So if I'm hearing you correctly, Commissioner Felton, having more of a standard like welcoming message when it comes to observances?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. And it doesn't even have to say, I use the word welcoming, but we're just happy to have you as part of our community.
Okay. I will go ahead and add that to the list of feedback as well.
Heidi, can you hear me?
Yeah. Commissioner Ismail?
Yes. I just wanted to add one more thoughts about the acknowledge part. I believe there's a was leading it. It's called Hijab Not Hate, and something that usually happens in outside. People have, you know, violated about when they wear hijab. So we started that initiative by there as an awareness. We had in the 20 in October. That was the first put it out for the community, and I would like that to be added at the part of that, and maybe like put it on the city website so people can have that awareness as an hijab not hate.
Would you be willing to, do you have more information on that, Commissioner Ismail, that I would be able to take a look at and certainly put on the list?
Sure, I can forward for you. Yeah, definitely, I can.
Okay. Okay, thank you so much.
When you forward that, would you also mind forwarding it to us too? That seems like a really cool initiative to look at.
Yeah, I concur.
Okay.
Sure,
It's
I
an
can share all you
educational
guys.
opportunity. Yep.
Heidi, oh, go ahead, Jasmine.
This may have been mentioned earlier, but has there been any benchmarking to see what our like peer cities or neighborhood cities are doing as it relates to these days?
There hasn't been any benchmarking that has been done, but I think that even the past 6 months, I've been looking at other cities or other municipalities to see what they've been doing, and it doesn't. I haven't seen that there is like a guiding post list that's been created like this.
I would encourage you maybe to look and see what Golden Valley is doing. I actually heard their mayor speak on an MLK celebration, and it was very interesting. That I know their HRRC is newly to existence, but they have been doing really great things. They actually have a pride celebration, but so I imagine they are doing something to observe the days.
Okay, thank you for that. So if anything pops up after our meeting today, please email me. And Hannah has also said she wanted to apologize for the technical difficulties and not being able to participate in the meeting today. She was looking forward to the engaging conversation.
Hey, can you just tell us what the next steps are? I know like you're still gathering information, but like when are you hoping to implement this? How will that be done? That kind of thing. Just briefly.
Some of the next steps is really looking at the list that has been compiled in the feedback, and so the lists have already been provided to the executive leadership for the city, and getting their feedback as well. And so in collaboration with the communications department as well as Hannah, we'll be taking a look at that and seeing, how else do we get feedback? So is it really that survey? And then the ultimate goal is bringing it to City Council. That is the final goal that we have to be able to do that. But along with the conversation that we've had today, as well as with executive leadership, I think that there definitely needs to have more feedback from folks to see what resonates with them.
Sounds good. What a great project. That's fantastic. So, all right, moving on to reports and recommendations. We have the approval of schedule change. It's 2021, so we have to look at the calendar. I know we usually change the Thanksgiving meeting. Was there anything else we needed to look at?
It would be looking at the November 16th, or the meeting that falls on November 23rd, as well as the meeting that would generally fall within December, the fourth week in December. And so with the approval from City Council, they went ahead and changed the meeting from November 23rd to November 16th in November. And then December's meeting is moved to December 7th. And so those are the days that City Council has a meeting at 7 p.m. And so with this approval that you have tonight, it would be changing it from 7 p.m. to 5:30 so that commissioners are able to attend the City Council meeting, especially with the December 7th meeting, which that aligns with the Tom Oy Award.
All right, are there any comments about the schedule changes? All right, moving along, we have the 2020 work plan. Is there anything we need to go through on the 2020 work plan?
I think you guys have to vote on the schedule change.
Yep, you would have to vote.
Okay,
Yep.
Backing up.
So your motion would be to change your November 16th, or change the November 16th and December 7th meeting to start at 5:30 instead of 7 p.m. on those two dates.
So moved.
So we have a motion from Commissioner Ross. Do we have a second?
Second from Mark Felton.
We have a second from Commissioner Felton.
I'm going to do roll call. Chair Behringer?
Aye.
Commissioner Ishmael? Commissioner Ross?
Aye.
Commissioner Felton?
Aye.
Commissioner Epstein?
Aye.
Commissioner Nelson?
Aye.
Commissioner Edwards?
Aye.
Commissioner Stringer Moore,
Aye.
motion carries.
All right. So the 2020 work plan, is there anything we need to discuss in the 2020 work plan, Heidi?
I think the only two that just I wanted to be able to provide updates for is the initiative number 6, which is creating definitions to differentiate between bias incidents and offense. The subcommittee had done that in 2020, and so now they're just going ahead, and the next step would then be to have a final approval of that with the subcommittee as well as the police chief, and then it would move forward to city council for them to recommend the approved changes with the new definitions.
Okay.
And then lastly, with initiative number 4, which is the approval of the rubric. I know one of the recommendations also was to have the HRC as well as the cross commissions use the rubric to be able to model what does that look like for a person or a group of people to look at the arts and decor in there. However, there is remodeling that is being done in the city, and that won't be done until March, mid-March. And so when this was approved in August until now, there's been either work or there's been election items that had been in the mayor's conference room or the atrium. So it wasn't conducive to be able to do the video and then send it to be able to get feedback from the working commissions. So once the remodel is done, I will go ahead and get a video sent out.
Heidi, what are they remodeling?
They are adding, or not necessarily remodeling, but they're going ahead and providing additional safety pieces to it. So that it is not necessarily wide open for folks to be able to just go through the city halls and just providing more.
Security.
Yeah.
Is that going to change something like the DOR or our ability to sprawl out in that atrium, or it's mostly about the doors?
It's mostly about the doors.
Okay.
Right. So I know with the Days of Remembrance, that was particularly in the commission or the city hall chambers, as well as the outdoor atrium. So I think there's going to be some changes in there as far as where that that sign that was there that had the benches, that might be changed as well. So it might just change the configuration, but not necessarily like where it was previously.
Not the capacity.
Yep.
So, got it.
All right. So moving on to the 2021 work plan, which was approved by City Council. Let's see. Oh, this is the wrong page. All right, so when we do this, do we need to start attaching names, or are we just going through to see what's there?
I think we already selected names.
There are
volunteers.
Yep, there are some folks that did go ahead and volunteer. There are a few initiatives that have 1 or 2 folks on there, so just getting more. And knowing that in March, there will be additional commissioner members that can be added to the work plan as well.
Okay, so initiative 1 is coordinate Days of Remembrance. Does anyone want to comment on that?
I need to reach out to Pat. I'm sorry. I will do that first thing tomorrow morning to get the contact from her.
I think this is going to have to be a virtual presentation unless we do it in the late fall.
It's too soon, I think.
Yeah,
Sure.
so it's going to have to be virtual.
Yeah, I think we're anticipating that. Even the fall would be a little iffy, I think.
Do we know if the
Sure.
speaker that we had lined up before is comfortable doing it virtually? I don't think we do yet, right, Jasmine?
So that's what I have to talk to Pat about. So I will get the contact information and I can actually send an email update.
Yeah, we should talk to him, because if he's not, then maybe we do look at the fall.
Right. But I think the fall would be a virtual event also.
It's going to be
Yeah.
touch and go.
I'm not saying it would or wouldn't, but I'm saying at least it gives us, like,
More time.
chance or whatever, yeah.
Heidi, has there been any hint from the city about what their expectations might be about events?
At this point, with any events that are scheduled, we're operating as if it would be a virtual event. Again, we're going with the governor's stay safe orders.
Makes sense. And I don't think virtual would be necessarily that bad. We could have 2 or 3 people in a studio, right?
Sure.
To do the actual presentation. Or
Yeah.
in City Hall, right?
JCRC is doing their Holocaust event tomorrow virtually. So yeah, I just didn't know.
I think it's doable, don't you, Mike?
No question. Yes.
You may get a bigger audience, you know?
Yeah, that's true too. And there's people from all over, Edina residents in Florida and California, etc., who would be able to actually see the presentation for the first time. So there's always that.
Yeah, I think there would be a lot of interest in that event if it were virtual. We had a pretty wide draw geographically, just regionally, like in terms of the cities. So,
Heidi, do you know how many people actually view it on Edina TV?
We don't have capability to get that data. I think it also is similar to when we had the community conversation where we weren't able to see how many people viewed it on Edina TV, but we were able to see how many people were either viewing it on the YouTube channel or like Facebook. So we're able to collect that data, but Edina TV doesn't give us that.
So we could put it up on YouTube. That would be good.
all right, any further comments? Okay, initiative 2 is the Tom Oy Award. Coordinate and select one recipient for the 2021 Tom Oy Award. It's not coming up for a while, but any comments? Thought the presentation in December went really well. Okay, initiative 3, coordinate 2021 sharing values, sharing communities. Any
Is that me?
comments?
Is that me?
That's you.
Okay. Yes, I have a few things to share about that. I was speaking to someone that's on the League of Women Voters that last week they showed Jim Crow of the North, and they said they had about 60 people. It's an hour-long video, and then afterwards, about 52 people remained for the Q&A session. And the feedback that they got, that was a 30 minutes. But the feedback that they got was, I had no idea this was going on. And if you're not aware of what Jim Crow of the North is, it's about restrictive covenants and redlining. But anyway, this is a restrictive audience, the League of Women Voters. And they just thought that this would be a great thing to show to the entire city of Edina, because most people aren't aware of this. And so I just wanted to one, find out, how do I go about, moving this event forward? I mean, and then 2, yeah, but basically, what are next steps? I mean, how do I get feedback on, this is a good idea, or no, Mark, we want to try something else from this committee before moving forward?
I want to say that Hopkins showed it like was it June, July, something like that. It's really well done. I think it's a really good idea. Whether it's done through this mechanism or another way, I think it's something that everyone should watch, and it is publicly available. So if you haven't seen it, I would recommend that you look it up and watch it soon. It's really good. It's very informative and stomach churning.
Okay.
Yeah, I think to speak as far as what does the process look like, I think one of the things is looking at dates, seeing if there are, when this particular event would be held. So looking at also, are there other folks that may be on the commission that want to help coordinate this? And then also looking at, are there who would potentially, or if you wanted a panelist, a group of panelists on there as well. So I think this definitely could move forward, but it's looking at what are the logistical pieces to be able to get that move forward.
It was produced by TPT, so I think there's some licensing things that you would want to look into as well. I'm sure that's up on the website too.
Right. And I just throw it out, Mary LaHammer from TPT is a newer Edina resident, so if you were going to do a panel, she might be willing to moderate it or something.
Ooh, that would be great. I think she would do a perfect job, excellent job. And if we go forward with this, I think it'll be just relatively easy. It's just one, getting the licensing to show it, and then two, scheduling a 30-minute panel afterwards. And I think the panelists could be a couple of people that are in the video. They're all local here. And then as Commissioner Stringer Moore suggested, that having, I forgot her name just that quick. That's what happens when you get old.
Mary LaHammer.
Mary Lou Hammer. Mary Lou Hammer being the MC for the event. I think that's it.
So do we definitely want to move in that direction if we're only going to do one event for the year? Because that film is like shown pretty frequently around town these days, I feel.
I thought we agreed to do one per quarter, but is it one per year? Then if it is, then we might want to go a different route. This is part of the community conversations that we had planned to have consistently throughout the year, I thought.
If I may add, I really think I really think the next step is to populate the committee to deal with the program, and then have a discussion within that committee rather than the full commission at this point. Isn't that the way to go?
Yep, it's just
new commissioners
from the work plan.
Well, between Bob Kroll's retirement and the Chiefs being first in line for San Diego, we may have a new police chief, right, in Minneapolis. And there may be some ways to tie some of these events up into a community conversation. Don't you think?
Are you suggesting getting Bob Kroll and
No, I'm not. I'm happy
so.
to see him go by, but we may end up with a new police chief by October. Is that October's for the target for this, right?
Not necessarily, is it?
Or
Well,
in initiative number 4.
Well, for initiative 3 and 4, they are, I want to say, melded together. So initiative number 4 is just a continuation of what had occurred in 2020. And so kind of to mirror what the events look like in 2020 is that the sharing values, sharing communities was a community conversation about race, justice, and policing. So that kind of melds together where in 2021, sharing values, sharing communities is focused on race, justice, and policing. So it's a continuation of that that particular initiative.
And it's one event, correct? Not quarterly events.
Correct.
Okay, you cut out Commissioner Stringer Moore. Did you say just one event, or sorry, I didn't hear you.
I was confirming with Heidi if it was one event or quarterly events, as you had mentioned.
Right.
And you said it's, what is it, Heidi?
So, yep. So for initiative number 3, that is one event. However, if you're looking at initiative number 4 itself, there is it's completing or looking at what other ways can community members be engaged. So it could be at a smaller where you might have, a listening session, or it might be a book club that you want to do. So the bigger event is initiative number 3 with that community sharing value, sharing communities. But then there could be smaller initiatives that are tied to initiative number 4, which is continuing that the race, justice, and policing initiative. So to answer your question, Commissioner Stringer-Moore, it could be it could have smaller events, not necessarily to the extent that sharing values, sharing communities would be.
Okay. My understanding was that this community conversation doesn't necessarily have to deal with policing or race, but it does have to deal with equity somehow. Is that true, or because that will inform how we go forward?
So initiative number 3 is there is a focus on race, justice, and policing.
Okay. And then initiative number 4 is just dealing with equity.
It's also a race, justice, and policing, but it's also looking at the outreach that's for community. So again, it could be smaller ways. It could be it could be promotion of understanding the history of race, justice, and policing. So it could be smaller events. It doesn't necessarily have to be an event. It could be an educational. It could be educational ways. So I think
this idea would fit under initiative 4, even though it doesn't specifically address policing. It's talking about equity and how we ended up in this position.
Yes.
Okay. And Heidi, I do kind of want to maybe, I don't want to use the word pushback, but I guess essentially it is pushback. Are we trying to, I thought the understanding of these community conversations was to involve the entire community, not just a subset of it or a small portion of it via a book club or something in that nature. So I just need clear direction and then, because I don't know where we agreed that it would be a small subset anywhere. Maybe it's in the notes somewhere.
Yeah, I know the recommendations as far as the implementation plan is really, was it to be able to have smaller community conversations? Because if there were folks that may not feel comfortable or may not have had the opportunity to participate in the larger community conversation that occurred in October, we wanted to provide another space for them. So we can definitely talk about what does that look like, and then if there are, with the new commission members, if they want to provide feedback, if they want to be added as this working commission or this working group.
Someone's raising their hand, Madam Chair.
Oh, Jasmine, go ahead.
Yep. I just know from my work with the Edina Community Foundation that they are putting together some smaller community groups around race and equity work in the city too. So I don't know, Heidi, if you have an update or anything.
I have been, along with a couple other staff members, they have been invited to just conversations about what does equity work look like and anti-racist work, but I haven't been provided definite action plans or action items. So from my perspective right now, it's really just in the planning phase and trying to gather information.
Okay. I have one more question, Madam Chair, of Heidi. I'm just trying, and this is of the entire commission, I'm just trying to get direction. I want to do a good job and I want to do it right. And I want to be consistent with everyone's ideas or plans. So what I've heard was basically, let's wait until the new members have joined to see who wants to be on this committee. And is that the committee for initiative 3 or initiative 4?
Well, for when there is a commission or a subcommission that is working on initiatives, there generally should be 2 to 3 other commissioners that are working on the initiative. And
Okay.
so we're looking for initiative 3 and 4. Currently, you are the lead for initiative number 3. And so, as you stated earlier, with being able to get feedback from folks, that was my suggestion, to be able to see if there are other commissioners that are onboarded in March that want to provide feedback and that also want to be part of this initiative in the coordination. For initiative number 4, it is currently yourself, Commissioner Felton, as well as Student Commissioner Mirza. So you two are able to go ahead and look at what ways do you want to continue the community conversation. And I think that's also helpful, considering that you two were also part of the community conversation in October.
Okay. So am I hearing you to say then that it's really up to us to draft a proposal or a plan, bring it back to this commission, and to get
That's
approval
correct.
how to proceed?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Michael, did you want to
Thank
say
you.
Yeah, well, I just to clarify, I want to make sure that when we go back and look to try to figure out what our goals are, they come from the city council, if I'm correct, Heidi. So, it's not what we want to do. It's not necessarily what we want to propose. Really, if you need more clarification on any of these, I think that we have to go back to council, because I know that in the past we've said we'd like this, or we'd like 6 events, or this or that, and council comes back and says, no, this is your task. And if you're on this commission, that the work plan comes from the city council. So it's not really us that have necessarily decided these things. It's really the council.
Well, I think there is a certain deliverable that is connected to these work plans. And so for initiative number 4, the deliverable is to be able to create and implement ways for community members to engage about this topic, right? So that can be in a different many ways. That is, it could be where you have a smaller series of community conversations, as I'm hearing Commissioner Felton talk about, or it could be part of, how does Jim Crow of the North connect to race justice and policing and where we are in our current state. I mean, there's definitely ways to be able to do that, but there is that certain deliverable that City Council is looking at.
Yeah, I mean, there's room for interpretation, no question. But when it comes to, do we want 1 event or 3 events or 2 Tom Oy winners or 1 Tom Oy winner, or whatever it is, my experience has been that these come from city council, and that's our charge. And so, for clarification purposes, I think, sometimes we may have to go back to that.
Okay. I concur with Commissioner Epstein. That way we all know that we're in alignment. So is that what you're suggesting that we do, Madam Chair and Heidi?
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't specifically say small events. I think it's pretty open. I think if you have an idea that seems like, we would be able to execute, I would say continue researching to develop a plan and bring it back to the commission.
Okay, will do. Thank you for your feedback.
Sure. Sabi, did you have any comments? I know you're on initiative 4. Did you have any thoughts about?
I think it's still a little early. I know there are, for example, I know that the Edina Rotary Fund is doing a conversation with a panel like we did early in October. So I think if we can try to find a way to coordinate everyone, because I know we want to have another conversation, but if there's a way to make sure that we're not covering the same ground as are being covered, or finding ways to incorporate that into what we're doing, that'd be great. Especially because this is there's a lot of things going on right now, so that way we can make sure A, it's not repetitive, or B, we're building up what already has been talked about.
Jasmine?
Yeah, I to Commissioner Mizra's point, I believe that there was some feedback shared. So I don't know if there was a post-event survey sent out, or if there's just any more detailed feedback about what people enjoyed, what people would hope the next conversation would be. I know that the event was streamed online on Facebook and YouTube as well as the City of Edina television. I don't know if there's an opportunity to maybe look through the comments to see if there's any feedback or guidance on where residents and community members, those that live, work, and play in Edina would like to see the conversation go.
This is Mark Felton. I didn't commission a survey, one. But then two, you mentioned that just the comments from the event, maybe we can take a look at that and get some ideas on how to proceed forward. I think what I have as a takeaway was this was a great event. We would like to see more of it going forward. And so now how do you define more? Is it once a month, once a quarter, once a year, twice a year? That's the issue that I think, as Commissioner Epstein said, we'll probably need direction from the council. My only concern is I'm a person of, I say I'm going to do it, or if we say we're going to do something, I sure would like us to follow through. When George Floyd was first, when that event occurred, everyone was saying we need to have community conversations and this should happen, consistently throughout the year. At least I thought I heard that. And now as time has passed, people aren't as committed to it as much, but I think that's the job of the leadership to keep people engaged in this important conversation. And it doesn't have to be related to race. It's just equity, period, to me. So whether you're anyone that's supposedly quote unquote different, we want equity for them. That's the bottom line of, I think, this initiative. Equity for everyone. I guess I didn't say anything. I say, okay, then what do I need? But I guess I just want us to be cognizant of, we want to be people of our word. What we say we're going to do, we should do. But I'll follow up with what Commissioner Epstein said was to try to get further direction from the council by going through Heidi and also the Madam Chair and getting feedback from Sabine as well, Commissioner Sabine. All right, that's it. I'll zip it up.
Great. Thanks for that, Commissioner Felton. Initiative 5 is the Bias Offense and Incident Response Plan Review, meeting with the Police Department representative quarterly for updates. I think we talked about that in terms of the 2020 work plan. Is there any further comment for 2021?
Yes, we are. We're in pretty good shape, actually. We have the plan back from Chief Nelson, and my suggestion is that we should meet one last time. There is one small change in there. There's some verbiage that is different than what we had proposed, but it's almost literally one sentence. So I think we're in really good shape getting that document finalized. And then we also have dates for the quarterly meetings scheduled. My understanding was the quarterly meetings were just going to be with the group initiative, but it looks like it's going to be with the entire HRRC. Makes no difference to me whatsoever. I just noticed that that's a different change. Probably better if Chief Nelson has the exposure to the whole group. It just seems like deeper conversation may have occurred if it was the smaller group. But other than that, that's where we're at with the bias effect.
And for the quarterly meetings, one of the changes with that too is that if there is a bias offense that occurs within the quarter, the police chief, city manager, myself, the chair of the HRC, as well as the subcommittee, the bias offense subcommittee, would be invited to those meetings. So there might be more depending on if there are bias offense that occurs with the quarter, there might be more meetings with the police chief, so that all of us can hear what occurred, as well as how to respond to that. And then the meeting with the police chief every quarter, at the end of every quarter, is more of a standing meeting where folks can certainly ask the police chief questions. The police chief can give any updates. So I think that there is potential for more meetings with the police chief, with the subgroup, as well as the chair throughout the quarter.
Yeah, I guess I didn't understand that, so that helps a lot. So then again, now that you've said that, I think it makes a lot of sense that he meets with the entire HRRC, and that's going to be a really big deal going forward to have that kind of time with the police chief and our commission. So I'm happy to hear that.
That's great. That's really good. All right, Initiative 6, review and comment on staff proposed plan to identify barriers for participation and reach communities of color through different modes and feedback. Is there any comments on that?
Staff have not started on that, but I know that once that has been, the proposed plan has been created, that will be sent to the HRC that are members that are on it. So Commissioner Stringer-Moore, Commissioner Edwards, and Commissioner Felton.
So I see the target completion date is December. What is the timeline for the project to move forward?
That's one of the things that we have to also discuss too.
Okay.
To be able to, depending on what the actual plan entails, we might be able to have kind of the deliverable as far as this is a plan, and then what does it look like after the HRC is able to provide feedback? What does that timeline look like to make those changes, and then the implementation itself?
So when will all that be determined?
I am planning to have a meeting with the Parks and Rec liaison, the Parks and Rec director, to get that more concrete.
This month, next month,
This month.
after?
Okay. This
Okay.
month, if not the first couple weeks in February.
All right, then moving on, we have the chair and member comments. I have nothing. Well, I guess I'll just go through the grid. Jasmine, do you have anything? Cindy, do you have anything?
Nope. I just wanted to mention that spent an hour and a half, almost an hour and a half, waiting in line in the Minnesota vaccine website today, and hopefully that's going to get better and better, but I'm on a waiting list, so you know how that goes. I want to meet in public. I want to meet with you guys in the middle of the communities. I miss face to face, don't you guys?
Yes,
Absolutely.
very much.
Absolutely.
Sorry, my laptop is about to die. Yeah, I missed the in-person meeting.
I was at 5:01. I literally had an alarm on my phone, and I went in, and I was like 5,000th in line. It's crazy.
Wow. Sabi, did you have any comments? Cartoon, did you have anything?
I just wanted to clarify, is there a conversation was initiative 4? When was that?
It's sort of initiative 3 and 4. So it seems like initiative 3 is an event, and initiative 4 is a little more open. It could be an event, or it might be something smaller. I'm not really sure.
Okay, thanks.
Sure. Mark, did you have anything?
Yes, I do, Madam Chair. One, I want to wish everyone a Happy New Year. It's first time seeing you this year. And two, Cindy, my wife is number 13,000 something she got news today. So you're much better off than she is.
No, we're all in the same bucket. It's just going to be
Yeah.
a lottery, like, pull the number out of the hat, right?
Yeah, and I agree with Cindy. I would like to, see everyone face to face. Maybe we could wear a mask or something. But my question is it's a new year, and I don't know what the process is for electing new leadership and when that happens. So maybe someone can bring me up to date or inform me of what that policy or procedure is.
So we'll be electing a new chair and vice chair next time.
Okay, so how are they nominated, or what's the process?
I wasn't here when I was elected. I was not in the meeting, so I don't remember how it works.
So is it fair to say that our current Commissioner Epstein, what is your title?
But he's vice chair.
The vice chair, does that person become the chair? And then
Not
we just,
necessarily.
okay.
Not maybe in this circumstance. So anyone who wants to put their hat in the ring.
Well, I think you would make a great chair, Mr. Epstein, Commissioner Epstein. That's my 2
Agreed.
cents,
I
whatever it is.
appreciate that.
I think we all agree on that, except for maybe Commissioner Epstein.
And I want to state that I'm going to be so busy the next 6 months with United Healthcare and the COVID response that please don't even think about me. Deal?
Are you sure, Commissioner, that works?
I am completely convinced
Okay.
I'm going to be
Okay.
sideways trying to kill COVID. So, and I think that's more important.
Well, Commissioner
Francesca, do
Tabi,
you have? Jim?
I'm sorry? Oh, is that me?
Mhm.
Well, I guess the only thing I would say is pertinent to race and equity in my mind this week is to note the death of Henry Aaron. Some of the greatest baseball players that ever played never got to play in the big leagues because of the color of their skin. And Henry Aaron started in the so-called Negro Leagues back in the early 50s. He hit his first home run when I was 6 years old, and he hit his last home run when I had been practicing law for 3 years. That's what kind of an athlete he was. So he was a real civil rights icon as well as a wonderful baseball player. So rest in peace, Henry.
Hear, hear. I agree.
Agree.
Michael? And Richard?
Nothing.
Can I go back, Commissioner Behringer? I have one thing to share. I thought someone else was going to share it, but today President Biden signed some executive actions on racial equity, and Susan Rice, who is one of Biden's domestic policy advisors, said that economists estimate that $5 trillion could be added to the economy over the next 5 years if racial gaps in income and opportunity are closed.
Phenomenal stuff.
Yeah. I was listening to the Martin Luther King presentation this past Monday by TPT, and they had mentioned the same statistics. They said because of inequity, we lost 16 trillion this last decade. So that's just incentivizes everyone to do the right thing and bring everyone in, make everyone part of the table, part of the conversation, I guess.
Yeah.
Hey, Cindy, I got to say one more thing, Cindy. I got on at 5:07 this morning, and I was 15,000.
I know. You know what? What's bizarre is I know 2 people who've gotten private emails from their health providers saying, "Hey, we've got a vaccine for you." I'm not on that, whatever that list is, but
I got my email today at 4 o'clock, so I'm getting my shot on Thursday.
excellent,
Yeah.
excellent.
I'm an
That's
old guy.
bizarre.
I'm an old guy. I deserve it, you know.
Well, I figure they got a whole lot of stuff like, all the prerequisites for, high risk, I guess is the best way to describe it. So
Well, they took
it's all
one look
good.
at me. They took one look at me and said, "Get the heck in here."
Jim,
God.
tell me your secret for looking so young.
I'm glad you're getting it, Jim. Good stuff.
I am too. Thank you, Mark. Thank you for that little lie.
I believe they've gotten the teachers vaccinated in the school district, so that's great news. I love
Yeah.
any vaccination stories.
That's really
Excel, right? They're going to do a major Excel thing.
They had us do it as well, funeral homes, because we go into all the nursing homes and stuff. So I'm halfway there. First shot.
Which
all right.
version?
Great news.
Pfizer or Moderna?
Pfizer.
So you got a 3-week wait?
3 weeks, yeah. So February like
Excellent.
20th or something will be done. So I was a little hesitant because of the age thing and everything like that, but they wanted us to because we go in so many facilities without
Well,
it.
you're critical care.
Absolutely. I love hearing people get vaccinated. It's good news all around. Staff comments?
I do have a comment. I just wanted to let you know that the Energy and Environment Commission is recruiting community members for the Climate Action Working Group. And so this group is looking to develop the city's climate action plan that has an equity focus for it. And so they're looking for people who have new and different perspectives on what it takes to become more of a resilient Edina. And so one of the things that I was told is that environmental expertise is not required. So for folks that want to be able to be part of creating a climate action plan, the application is available and it does close February 1st. So there was a press release and the application is available on the city website.
All right. Reese, did you have anything?
Did not.
All right. I guess that's it. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved. Commissioner
Second.
Felton.
All right. I have a motion to adjourn from Commissioner Felton. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second,
And a second from Commissioner Nelson. Reese, can you call the roll?
Chair Behringer,
Aye.
Commissioner Ismail,
Aye.
Commissioner Ross, Commissioner Felton,
Aye.
Commissioner Epstein,
Aye.
Commissioner Nelson,
Aye.
Commissioner Edwards,
Aye.
Commissioner Stringer Moore.
Aye.
I didn't get called.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah. Epstein.
It looks like you missed Commissioner Ross.
Oh, Commissioner Ross.
All right, and the motion carries. Have a good night, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Have a good night,
Have
everyone.
Next month. Bye-bye.
See
Dave.
you
Bye.
next month. Okay.
Edie,
Bye.
I have to ask you something.
Huh?
I
Hi,
think she's talking to Heidi.
Wear a mask.
if
One second,
Hi.
I need to turn off the recording.
you can share the link for the environmental climate act that you just
Yeah.
the link
yeah,
to
I
sign
can,
for the
I can go ahead
application.
and send you the press release. Yep. I can go ahead and do that.